The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Hello everyone. Welcome to Leadership Podcast. It is yet another edition of The Big Issue. And of course, as usual, our in-house analysts are already seated, opening with not just action, but reasonable action to take on the big issue of the day. And here with me on the studio are very powerful political analysts, Chibuzo Kaibe and Paul Agbo. And of course, I'm your regular host, George Agba is the name. And the big issue for the day is the crack in APC, which appears to be widening as security operatives take over the party's national secretariat. The All Progressives Congress National Secretariat in Abuja was on Wednesday taken over by dozens of armed policemen in various patrol vans. Of course, at the last count, most Nigerians say they have never heard that the party's national secretariat has been converted into one of the security agencies. And it calls for worry because, as the saying goes, truth does not run in the daytime for nothing. Well, most of the party faithful, and including some Nigerians, are saying that the heavy security presence is a sign that all is not well with the governing party. So, this is a very big puzzle. What do you think will be the situation here?
Well, it is that time. It is the time where APC has to show whether or not they are truly progressive. It is really interesting to see that a party that prides itself as a progressive platform is having to barricade itself, amongst itself. I know the party has denied that there was no cause for alarm, and that what we are witnessing at the party premises is nothing ordinary, nothing extraordinary. But when you begin to put the strange or the heavy security arrangement in context of the unfolding political events within the party, then you know that it is not just an ordinary security arrangement that is going on at the premises. And so that shows you the dimension of the crisis within the party and the bubbling, the way it's bubbling now. There's no telling how far this can go. For them to have deployed security operatives, not just the police alone, because we got to hear that even justice operatives were also drivers. So mixed up. So it shows you the dimension of what is at play here. And of course, it was only expected that this would happen because for a long time, too many things have been simmering within the party. And it would seem as if that they were just trying to quench it, and not necessarily address the real problem. They're just trying to, put water on the fire that was still burning. From the way Oshomole was removed, all of that crisis has not been properly taken care of. And so at every point, that crack has continued to widen. What we are seeing is the manifestation of the real big crack that started with the way ago. Not necessarily the way Oshomole was removed in any case, but the failure of the party to really bond and project itself as a truly or evolve into a truly political party. Because the notion till date is still that the party is a coming together of people who are yet to form a common alliance, other than the fact that they just wanted to push the people.
It's a conglomeration of people who are doing politics. That's a politics of strange bedfellows.
Not just a politics of strange bedfellows, a politics of people whose sole aim was just to move out the PDP. This is what we are seeing now.
Taking over power and playing over the sensibilities of Nigeria.
Now, they have failed to bond as a political party.
By selling them the change.
And this is what we have.
Well, some have linked the situation to the political spat between the chairman of the National Caretaker Committee and Yobe State Governor, the Malabuni, and one of the party's chieftains and the former senator, what is his name? Senator Kabiru Marafa. Good men have continued to issue threats through their program. And of course, we know here that Marafa had been coming out to say so many things about the chairman, the caretaker committee chairman of the party. But the idea here is that if the whole thing borders on Marafa as an individual alone, it won't warrant such heavy presence, security presence, at the party national secretariat. Or is Marafa a lone ranger?
It's not.
Or he's playing the cards of a block within the APC.
Recall after the Congress conducted by the APC, fallout that were not too plausible party. You recall even some newspapers or media carried the story that APC had over 96 state party chairmen. It sounds ridiculous, but that's to tell you, that's to show you the magnitude of the crisis of voting in the government party. I've said it on this platform that they should conduct Congress. And if they come out in one piece, then they are indeed the biggest and the greatest party in Africa. It is when you conduct the Congress that you know whether the parties is united or not. Marafa is aggrieved. Just not only him, there are several party chieftains, including serving ministers and people that quote aided or assisted the president to where he is today. They are feeling that they've been left out. They allow the soul of the party into the hands of the governors. I recall the caretaker chairman of APC is a certain state governor. And of course, you know where his loyalty lies. He will want to teach us his colleague, the governor, and that is why Marafa is angry. His grievances are born out of the Congress held in Zamfara. One, Marafa is not happy. Why would the newcomer just come and hijack the state party structure? Mitawale hijacked the party structure. Meanwhile, they belong laboring in the state. They went to court, they fought hard. For Marafa, he fought hard for the party. He sacrificed the entire political elected position because he wanted justice, according to him. He wanted justice, fairness for APC members in Zamfara State. Now, he is now saying that Governor Bunu, the acting chairman of APC, seemed to be favoring the governor of Zamfara State, Matawale. And you know what it means. If you lose out in the party structure, you have lost out entirely. You know, it is the result of the Congress that determines who becomes whoever in the state, from the governor to the Senate to House of Reps,
The state party chairman,
the House of Assembly, everything. This issue is all about who controls the delegates, and that is why Marafa is angry, and he wants to spill the bean all over. Look at some of the words he used. How can you describe a sitting governor that is not educated, is unschooled, that he should show his certificate? That's too heavy.
Yeah, that one you've just said there is what is even making people.
And now, a lot of chieftains probably might be queuing behind Marafa. Marafa might be the face of thousands of disgruntled or aggrieved members of APC.
It is not a lone ranger.
It's not a lone ranger.
He's playing the cards of a particular block.
That is it.
Within the party.
Yes.
Because even in Zamfara, we have the former.
My only worry, George, now is that would they have deployed DSS if PDP has similar crisis? Why are we using our secret police?
Why would they deploy DSS?
Why are we
APC is
using
the president's party.
Why are we using DSS?
So why would they?
That
decide
is a
to-
function
to
of the
use
police.
battles of states
Yes,
to
apparatus of
settle
state.
a partisan matter within the of party.
Because the
It doesn't matter whether
It raises
it's a part of the
that is why we
president.
call it a ruling party.
No. It's not ruling, governing party. If you say rule, it becomes autocratic.
APC had always
Yeah,
said it's governing
They
party.
call themselves
Governing parties are not ruling party. But at the end of the day, I said ruling party.
And we are
I
still
wouldn't
saying-
have been
we
wrong
are still
because
saying
you are
unity
even
within
you
the
are even
party.
asking question why would they use their security apparatus of government to now for the purpose of the party?
No, why going beyond the
Not
police? Why going beyond? And that's to
So,
tell you that there are a lot of things going on that you and I might not be privy to. For them to have deployed the DSS to that place, it shows that look the problem. And I said it before, George, if you recall. I said they should wait until they successfully conduct congresses across all the levels, elective levels of the party. They can't be celebrating. They've not done. Have they done state congress? They've not done state congress. Have they done state congress yet?
Yes, they are.
Then
What they are waiting for now
is the national
Okay, the national convention.
national convention. So when they get to that level, you will see regional play. So by the time they finish that one, that's when you now bring. But with the way things are going, and now Barafa is challenging the caretaker committee that they are anything, all the activities is null
And for
and void. That he will go to court
and
and
challenge.
challenge it. And you know the implication. The APC escape Ondo, remember. Recall the escape Ondo because Mala Buni was not joined
In the suit at the Supreme Court.
at the Supreme Court.
Well, thank you, Paul. You see, that's just like what Paul has said. You see, from what we are seeing here, there is very clear signal that APC is not just a hot soup. The party is in the shadow of its own compost. And for a party chieftain to go to the extent of relating the misguided all actions of the National Caretaker Committee chairman as a product of his lack of normal formal education. And of course, his history of never attending a school, and he's even challenging him to mention the legitimate schools he have attended. On school, that has reached it has reached a stage where they say it is total destruction, the only solution, like Omali would say.
So if it's not school, what did you submit?
Yes.
So
Most Nigerians are beginning to say it's a time bomb waiting to explode, and the party is heading towards implosion. But where is the president who's supposed to be the leader of the party in all this?
the president has been busy with he has been engaged with international function. I think
of recent we saw him attracting a lot of business into the country.
he has been busy
Especially this travel. I think he spent almost 1 month outside the country.
Yes.
From one country he goes to another. And they say
which is good.
the globetrotting is as a result of him attracting business.
Which is good for
But that we give him to him.
But
Because the president
he
is not
needs to also look at domestic matters, especially the issues of the increasing attacks in the Itato peaceful state as well. And the continued attack, of course, Katsina, Kaduna, Niger, and the states, the hotbeds of this attack, and the recent upsurge in the insurgency attacks in the north and east. Our thoughts and prayers with the families of the slaves soldiers, the fallen heroes, because especially general, it's not easy to lose a general. It costs a lot to train someone to that level. It costs a lot. When you lose that, such a person of that kind of caliber in the war situation, it's painful. Our thoughts and prayers with the family and the president needs to look forward and also address this issue, especially the issues with the APC, the growing issue, before it becomes an uncontrollable situation.
Well, Paul, we'll come to that. Let's just go for a short break. Naturally, just like you say, that the president is busy trying to attract investors to the country. And of course, he has other national issues of security and the rest to attend to. But must the president focus on all those things, where his own house is on fire, must Buhari feel like Nero, while Rome is on fire. Of course, that is a party that brought him into power. But before we come, we have to look at that critically. And before we go for break, we urge our viewers to contribute constructively to the conversation on the big issue by the way of comments. And we expect that by the time we come back, their comments will be trickling in. We'll be back in a moment.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Well, you're welcome back. We're still on the big issue in Leadership Podcast. And of course, the big issue of the day is the cracks in APC, which is growing wide by the day. Of course, which is being manifested by the heavy presence of security operatives at the party's National Secretariat in Abuja. Yes, well, you made mention of the issue of the Supreme Court judgment in the on-day governorship election that made a pronouncement questioning the validity of the Governor Malabuni-led APC caretaker committee. And of course, this gave a lot of people, especially party faithful, worry about party leadership.
Like Festus
I remember what Festus Keyamo said, and he warned that the party not to ignore the Apex Court pronouncement, though he was countered by other party stakeholders.
It was
Including
convenient.
senior lawyers
It was
within the
convenient
party
for them to
and
counter
the
him.
general yes of the federation.
But we're heading us.
Yes. So now, don't you think this has contributed to the outcome of what we're seeing now?
Marafa is not just acting as
Because Chibuzo mentioned of the fact that it is just a crack within a bigger crack that had been there before.
He's not acting out of his understanding of politics. Marafa has gone to court before. He came back victorious. And he still had his lawyers are still with him. I know Marafa is one politician that does not hide his feelings. He's not a laid-back politician. He will say it as it is, and now go home and sleep well. People say some people attributed his political utterances as to being arrogant. He's a man that tried to say the truth,
Say it as it is.
and say it as it is, and go home. So people attribute it to arrogance, but I don't see it as the man is just trying to fight for his rights. Although the way he presents his case sometimes makes him look as if he does not know what
It's not organized.
is organized. There's some people see him as if he's just a mature talk for good Lord. Yes, but the man, for me, I see a man who has been pushed to the wall. Although they will say he has avenue appeal and the rest. When you are going for appeal, that one is already history. Decision has been taken. So the APC has to look at this issue critically before it gets worse. Malachi is not a low ranger in this renewed crisis in APC. It's not alone. We have cases of ministers, senators, House of Rep members that have been feeling shortchanged after the APC Congress. And I've said it that if you lose out in a Congress, you are bust out in primary election. Because these are our delegates, whether direct or indirect. Once you delegate the Congress, the members of the executive at the Congress, at the world level and local government, state level, out of your reach, you have lost out. Because they vote in the primary election. Most of the votes are influenced. The outcome, they are always influenced by the political leaders of the party. So if you lose out, if you don't have more than 5-6 local governments under your control, especially your secretariat, note that you have lost out.
It's true. So you've heard what people are saying. Marafa is not in this anymore. It's just like the proverbial cat that has been sent to go and somebody that has been sent to go and bail the proverbial cat. And of course, we all know this time. Yeah, in APC there are two camps. Those who want the Buni-led APC committee go, and those who want it to stay. Nobody's talking about the cold war happening because there seem to be fears. There are some people who don't want to come out openly to be confrontational, perhaps for fear of the president, who is the leader of the party, or for reasons we might know. But in all this, are we not beginning to see a governing party that is heading towards serious division ahead of the 2023 general election? This is even throwing up the cards positively for the opposition People's Democratic Party. What do you think?
Naturally, one party is lost, another's gained. The more there's crisis in one party, the other party.
But we all know that PDP has its own there,
regardless of whether or not they have their own internal crisis. It's their thing. But if you look at both parties, which has handled its own crisis better so far? I think it's pretty obvious at this point that the way the PDP maneuvered and managed its crisis is quite indicative of how, do I say mature, or how pragmatic they were and timely to and conscious too in handling and rallying around themselves to ensure that they resolve that issue. Maybe because they are in the opposition and they can't afford, that kind of crisis. Maybe. But again, if you look at the processes they had to go through, give it to them, because it required a lot of skill and a lot of understanding, opening up the space for dedication, for negotiation and discussion
and sacrifice.
But in the case of APC, you would expect that they would have perhaps even more of these advantages. Of course, they have the presidency and they have the ruling status. So the way they would have bargained, or the space for negotiation ought to be broader and bigger, because there will be a lot more offers to give in the space of the APC. There are positions at the beck and call to give, to appease people. And so it's interesting that they are not even looking at opening the space for people to have that kind of dialogue and have a sense of belonging. And I think that is where the problem, really is. It's not so much about whether they have governors who want to take it on. There are also governors in PDP. The APC also has the presidency. But over and again, we keep seeing a situation where it appears either the president is laid back or isn't so much interested in what happens within the party that brought him to power. And we see things go, he had to take a long time before he intervened in the process that took out Shomole. Things almost went out of hand. It was just they just dodged the silver bullet, if you will, before the president was able to, so there's a pattern. There appears to be a pattern. And when that kind of pattern exists, party members will become a bit more fidgety and a bit more uncomfortable about the party's ability to ensure that everybody's interest is accommodated. And I think that is at the heart of what is playing out. You can be sure that Marafa is going to rally more troops. More people are going to rally behind him. Maybe some those who are like the Lai Mohammeds, don't mention names now. The Lai Mohammeds, the Festus Keyamos, what's the other one in the other states, who feel they are losing out. It will get to a point where they will say, if I fight, I fight, if I die, I die. I mean politically now, of course. If I fight, I fight, if I lose, I lose politically. So they will damn all the consequences and they will go into it, preparing for the worst.
But most party faithful, sympathetic to the Buni Caretaker Committee, are calling for Marafa's head. They have described what he is doing now as anti-party activities.
Yes.
Or do you think Marafa will survive this? Because at the end of the day, it's likely that the party might just hinge the whole situation on anti-party activities and expel him.
Yes, the party has the power, going by their constitution, to sanction, not limited to suspension. It could be expelled from the party. But you cannot stop the guy, the gentleman, from going to court. And if you beat a child, you cannot stop that child from crying. So Marafa is really crying at the moment. The man is threatening, if the more they threaten him with sanction, the more the man will feel or get motivated to go to court and seek redress. Because he does not recognize this Caretaker Committee. And he described Buni as chairman, Convention Planning Committee, not chairman of APC.
But at what point did he realize that this committee is illegal?
Is illegal? That is
it not because he has become bruised?
Yes.
But he should start asking himself questions. How come he's always on the wrong side of the political? I'm not talking about what is right or wrong. How come he's always on the, do I call it, losing side? Or the damage side?
The problem is issue
how the
of
party, where the party is.
Giving out concession is the issue of concession.
Silent one.
He was in the camp against Yari.
Yes.
They lost the state. And now the governor is accusing Marafa and Yari again of trying to repeat what they did in 2019.
And it might end up that way.
Well, if they keep seeing you in a certain light, it might also not go down well with you for your political image.
Yes.
And I think these are things, if he has good advisors, that he should be looking at.
He's been viewed as a troublemaker.
He should be looking at these things seriously. Nobody wants to form an alliance with somebody that's always causing trouble.
And when the chips are down, they will all abandon it. Whoever is encouraging.
I was thinking at the time, because the whole of the problem in APC was, in Zamfara particularly, was the coming of the governor when he defected into the APC.
Who now becomes the leader of the
party. And going by the convention, I'm not saying the convention is right or wrong, but going by the convention in Nigeria,
the governor
is the governor. So if the governor is coming, I had expected that Marafa would align with him, being more of an underdog, not just to becoming governor, but to the
unconfirmed sources
former governor.
That even before Matawale moved to the APC, he had good cordial relationship with Marafa to the level that the PDP started accusing Matawale of over favoring Marafa's men in government.
Did the relationship break down?
Yes. The relationship went sour.
If you know that,
and it's as a result of Congress.
If you are going into a negotiation with somebody who has more influence than you within the party structure, you should be ready to make certain concessions.
Perhaps Marafa decided to go beyond his central. to other Secretariat.
So he puts him in a very tight spot.
Well,
It's not good for
well,
his credibility,
Chibuzo,
if you ask me.
some people are saying that the lack of internal mechanism for resolving problems within the APC, because some key organs that are supposed to address these issues, like the Board of Trustees, have not been formed yet. You know, an independent body like the BOT, comprising elders of the party, would have stepped into this matter. Why is it that the BOT is not formed? Just briefly before we.
You know, and this goes back to the whole genesis of the party, APC, and why people still see it as a gathering of people and not a political party yet. At the formation of this party, all of the interests came together and they formed the party. Power sharing became the next major issue after they had succeeded in moving PDP, which was their major focus at the time. But they didn't make proper arrangements on how to blend as a political party. And so when positions started coming, this set of the party would take this set of party would take. When it came to the Board of Trustees, there was a serious disagreement between two key leaders of the party. Although one has defected now to the PDP. There was a serious tussle about who would become the BOT chairman. It was so intense that the party leaders decided to say, okay, let's leave this for now. Because if you continue in this direction, it's going to further split us, even before we start administration. Because as of that time, they're already having problems with how the National Assembly was going to emerge. So they decided to shelve that BOT issue. And ever since, nobody has discussed, it has never become a serious matter for discourse. Instead, what they wanted to do was to change the name of the nomenclature from BOT to, I think, Council of Elders also. But after then, I'm not sure any serious thing was done to make all that happen again, because even despite the fact that the other party left, the person who naturally would have benefited from it now found fresh enemies. And so the push to ensure that it doesn't get it continue. And this is where we are. And that was why I said, if you look at what happened within the PDP because of the last process, the role of the BOT was so significant that it was difficult not to have an agreement and a platform through which negotiations could be made. And that was the role the BOT played within PDP. Now we don't have that in APC. And we can see the rest of it.
Well, of course, that is the much we can take for the big issue of the day. The Cold War brain in the governing All Progressive Congress is still lurking in the dark. But of course, as things go, with Marafa coming out to be the man sent to bail the cat, it is likely that very soon the true worshippers will soon openly worship God in spirit and in truth. That is the much we can take for today's edition of the big issue. And of course, I'll thank our in-house analysts for doing justice to this matter. And of course, I'll thank our viewer for keeping tab with us. Join us same time tomorrow for another edition of the big issue. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.